Hey there, internets. This is Kyle coming to you with another live episode of my journey from $0 to $1 million on the My Business Launch Secrets YouTube channel here. Please subscribe, hit like, and all those fun stuff to help the YouTube algorithm. Today it's actually a little bit earlier in the evening than I've usually been recording these. I haven't done like a ton of active work yet this evening on my business, but I had a lot of thoughts on my mind, various things I've been thinking about kind of throughout the day that I just felt like I wanted to go ahead and share on video to myself primarily, because again, this is me documenting my own journey, more or less for my own purposes of keeping me moving the ball forward a little bit each day and holding myself accountable to doing that each day. So today, a couple of things. Number one, I guess I'll start out with some things I was thinking about earlier today. I kind of, through a roundabout way, ended up coming across a website of a guy who does coaching for, kind of career coaching for people with engineering degrees, and kind of specifically helping with, helping people find clarity in what they want to do in their jobs, and helping them, pursue new jobs, help them find a better job if they're looking for something better, or if they're unemployed, helping them, get plugged into the right job that fits their interest and whatnot. And, it was interesting because at first as I was looking at this guy, and I was kind of thinking, well, frankly, I was like, feeling pissed off, I guess, in some sense, which is totally stupid, but just thinking that, oh my God, there's this guy that's already doing kind of what I'm looking to do. And, he's already got the website built up and has a course or whatever and sells coaching and all this stuff. And, has been doing it for, I don't know, several years-ish, I guess now. So it's certainly more established. Kind of ended up upon him through LinkedIn, and he certainly seems to use LinkedIn to try to get connected with as many people, try to find customers, etc., which is fine. And one thing he does have on his page is a lot of his customers, testimonials, right, which is obviously very important for marketing purposes, and lots of people have good things to say about him. I'm sure he does good work. And so I don't know, I was like feeling, again, for no good reason, just kind of upset about that. And again, that's one of those things where you could see somebody that's doing what you want to do, or even something similar. And I don't even know how successful he is. Maybe he's not successful at all, but by appearance anyway, it seems like he's got something going for him. So you kind of think, oh my God, like this guy's already got the whole thing locked up. I should just fold things up and move on with my life, right? Of course, I don't have those types of thoughts too much, just because I know, again, the market for doing anything you want to do is ginormous, likely. And again, just trying to get from like a $0 to $1 million mark, it doesn't really matter if there's 1,000 other people doing what you want to do. I think there's always still an angle that you can push to get enough customers to get to a certain threshold. And maybe if you want to get like super big, then obviously you got to figure out ways to really outpace your competition and all that fun stuff. But so that's kind of one feeling I had. The other feeling I had was just more of a competitive type nature, which I think I mentioned on a previous video, which Russell Brunson talked about his wrestling background and how he enjoys the sport of business and wanting to beat his opponents. And so in some ways I was thinking, oh my God, this guy, I could totally like demolish this guy and be way better in my business compared to what he's doing in his business. And like I went to his YouTube channel as well, of course, and lots more videos at this point, but relatively few subscribers, and his videos have like tens of views, 30, 40, 50 views or whatever on a given video, telling me that, well, maybe it's just not a priority for him to get a lot of customers through YouTube. Maybe, again, his focus is more on LinkedIn, which probably makes sense. But I look at that and I'm like, oh, he's not doing this right or that right, and I could totally, again, demolish this guy in terms of what I'd be able to do, even if I'm doing something very similar to what he's doing. I would just be able to do it so much better, right? That's my thought. Of course, again, props to that guy. He's years ahead of me, and I wish him all the best of success in the work that he's doing for his customers. The other thing that whole process got me thinking about really is, again, I guess like what specifically I really want to help people do in my coaching and in my training classes, which I haven't talked in detail, I guess, about my specific business plan, but in a nutshell, again, I'm a PhD level engineer, have about 10 years now since my PhD. So work experience in a variety of different roles, different segments of industry that you can kind of work in, as well as academia. And I mean, prior to my PhD, I also had additional work experience. So I've been through a lot of different, cycles of things in my own sort of belief patterns and what I thought I could do in my own career. And in general, I just wanted to kind of like help people kind of have a better mindset about what their own capabilities are and what their own possibilities in their own careers are. Which again is sort of similar to some of the stuff I saw this guy talking about and some of his testimonials of he likes to work on mindset and being sure that people are making themselves open to new opportunities that maybe they haven't really considered previously, but would actually be a better fit for what their interests are. So helping them evaluate what their true interests, their kind of core interests are, and then helping them kind of craft a means by which they can go and find a job doing what they really are eager to go do. So again, I guess I was thinking sort of along the similar lines of again, what I would kind of offer, but I don't know. And then I was just thinking, like, is that something I'm really super passionate about? Meaning helping other people in their career. And, honestly, I'm not sure if I am entirely. I mean, what's led me down this is just because I think some of the revelations or epiphanies I've had have, certainly like been pretty radical for me in terms of really changing my own views and my own beliefs about what is possible. And I do think it would be exciting in a way to help other people, help break beliefs of other people as well, to help kind of unlock their, true potential, right? As some would say, but it's just a question of like, I mean, I've never really done that as of yet for anybody, so I don't even know if I would really like to help people do that. I just know it was very cool for me, and so maybe I would like to share that with somebody else. And maybe it's fine just to share my story, but maybe share my experiences, and maybe that alone would kind of be enough in a sense. But that kind of got me just back to thinking about, like, what the hell do I really want to do? And I'll maybe touch on some other things that I've thought about doing over this past year. I've paid multiple thousands of dollars on various business opportunities over this past year, which I don't entirely regret all of it. I mean, I think I definitely learned a bit from each of those things that I kind of invested in. But I started out thinking about I want to do be a part-time bookkeeper and start a bookkeeping business because I like numbers and I do like kind of accounting in general. This is something I like when it comes to personal finance. I'm like very interested. I could definitely, if there was a way for me to do something in the personal finance space, I think that would be very cool because I'm just really intrigued by everything related to how you kind of grow your wealth overall. And not to say I'm like an expert by any means, but I think I've figured out some of the basics anyway. And of course, I've been through many ups and downs financially over my life. And it's certainly been through some challenges, been through bankruptcy and all that, and yet have come back in a much better place now. And so maybe sharing some of those lessons with a more general population as opposed to just PhD engineers would be helpful. The thing that keeps me from wanting to do that, though, is just there's so much out there in the personal finance space from people making content on all the platforms and all kinds of programs you can buy and courses and coaches, and it's just kind of, in my view, a pretty saturated area. So therefore I would be thinking, what new am I offering? I mean, I personally have learned from a lot of those, a lot of just free resources that are out there, and YouTube channels that talk about personal finance and have been around for a decade, talking about all those details. And plenty of websites, personal finance websites, that have lots of, good information and good tips and tricks that, again, I don't know what I'd be doing different. I would just be like another one in this sea of other people. And, you can say, oh, well, maybe I could figure out a way to market better and get some attention coming towards me as opposed to other sites, I guess. But I'm not sure about that one. Another area that I invested into was a program on doing lead generation websites for small local businesses, which is, won't get into the details of kind of what it is. Basically it's just, creating a website using SEO, search engine optimization techniques, in order to drive people to end up calling your business, your phone number that you've set up for this fictitious business, which then you kind of sell those calls in a sense to some company that's actually providing that service in whatever area that you built your website around. Yeah, I thought that was kind of intriguing because I guess I would say I enjoy doing web design based work. It's something I was doing back in the early-ish days of the internets, back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, when there was no like cool tools to make it super simple. It's like you had to learn HTML, and that was the only way you got a website up. And I did that. I learned it, and I enjoyed it to a certain degree. That was back in my high school, college days, just kind of doing something fun on the side. But these days it's much more easy to build a website, and even though for some unknown reason it is absolutely true that a lot of small businesses that get started, especially like local service-based businesses, do not even understand the very basics of what they could do online. But there's problems with that business model, though, in that, so even though you might build these websites, and what they do is they then sort of rent, talk about renting these websites to a business that, is getting the leads from your website of people that are calling you to get their whatever tree cut down, because you're a website that's built around tree cutting in whatever, Des Moines, Iowa. And so they call your number, which then you then link to the small business that actually does the tree trimming, and that's it. They get the business, and they basically pay you for the lead. So you're sort of doing the marketing for them in a sense, but you're doing it not through paid advertisement, but through more organic search methodologies through Google. But there's various other kind of details you get into of how they set up those sites and how you try to set up the Google business page, again, for a fictitious business, which is technically kind of against the whatever terms of agreement of Google. And they make various caveats. Oh, well, you're not actually violating the terms. Or people just say, oh, screw Google, because they already make billions of dollars or trillions of dollars on us, and we shouldn't worry about what they think, which is fine. And again, people have been very successful doing that sort of thing. They're still doing it today, although a lot of people that I heard in that space kept saying, oh, well, it is a lot harder than it used to be, whatever, 3 or 4 years ago. The reason is because Google is not stupid, and they have like 1 billion people on their payroll. And so they understand these trends that come along of people essentially trying to game the system in some sense. to drive traffic to their web pages. And again, this is not a new thing. I mean, people have been doing this since the beginning of the internet, of figuring out ways to kind of use the Google search algorithm to benefit them, even if it wasn't quite in line with, the idea of having a search engine. Anyway, I kind of digressed there, but bottom line was I didn't think it was like a great sort of long-term business plan. I mean, maybe if I really dug into it in a year, sure, I could have made some money, I guess. Again, because other people are doing it, but it wasn't something I thought like, oh, this is really something I could see myself doing long-term, and this is like a area I could go into that would allow me to eventually quit my job, right? Which is kind of what I want to do, like longer term. And so I kind of decided not to go down that route after exploring it for quite a while. And that's really what got me to digging in more into digital marketing and the whole Russell Brunson ClickFunnels ecosystem to better understand kind of what's going on there. And just thinking, well, for one, I just need to better understand about marketing in general, because it doesn't really matter what kind of business I end up doing. I ultimately have to market whatever it is I'm going to do, and I need to know what are the best practices for doing that. So that kind of led me down that route, which in his book Expert Secrets, he talks a lot about that everybody is an expert in something or another. And so if you're thinking about starting a new business, maybe you should consider how you can essentially profit off of the expertise that you have, and then build an entire business around that. And of course, that's something a little bit more sustainable, because if you're building more of a brand, essentially, then that has kind of staying power. You're building a list. It's all about building the list of people that you have that are interested in whatever you are promoting, your thing, your vibe. Then that's really what drives more long-term sustainability, because those people, if you do it correctly, will tend to sort of stick with you and stay on your lists for the long term. And so you can then start to leverage that warm or hot traffic, as you will, to sell your various offers to that you might be generating over time. So that's kind of led me to where I am now. But again, I still sort of question whether or not this is even the right thing. And again, I just keep thinking back, like, this is such the typical new entrepreneur mindset of, oh, I like this thing. Well, no, that's not going to work for one reason. Even though I haven't done anything, I just think that that's not going to work for one reason. So maybe I should go over here and try this thing. And oh, well, actually, I think there's maybe something that's not going to work quite right on that thing. So I should go over here. I get it. I should just, sort of suck it up and just keep pushing forward. Problem is that I don't have the luxury of time so much. I mean, if I was like a 20-year-old or a teenager or something trying out, I would just say, yeah, literally pick anything, just do it for 6 months, see if you can make a nickel, and if not, then maybe switch over and do something else. Me personally, getting a bit up there in my age, hit the over the hill mark this year, so I'm trying to find something that I don't end up just wasting a ton of time on something that's never going to make me any money. Even though I know I would learn a lot through that process, I'm trying. That's why. I mean, that's the purpose of like listening to experts that have already been through the thing and have done the right things over and over. Is if I could just follow them and model them, then conceivably I can at least not shortcut the entire process, because I do believe that in anything you do have to practice the thing like over and over before you actually get good at the thing. I talked about that, I think, in one of my earlier videos. I know I'm going to suck, but what I want to suck at is just selling my thing. I don't want to suck at what the thing actually is, because if the thing actually isn't any good, nobody cares. Then again, that's where it doesn't matter. I got the best marketing team and sales team, but if nobody wants the product, then it's all kind of pointless. So that's where I keep kind of going back to thinking, is this the right thing? Also looked into like affiliate marketing a little bit. I was thinking, well, if I don't think I have a good product, maybe I just do affiliate marketing, pick another product, at least go through the whole process of setting up the whole, marketing infrastructure, setting up your sales funnels, etc., and just sell somebody else's thing, and get some profit off of that. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this video up, but I did want to highlight that I did continue to work on my newsletter for PhD Secrets last night. I did come up with a pretty sweet sort of cover page, which essentially mimics the No BS newsletter and the Marketing Secrets newsletter that I talked about yesterday. Of course, my own graphics and verbiage and whatnot. And I thought I came out pretty well, so I'll share that with you here today. So this is what I came up with, BAM in Canva. I decided not to really use any of the templates that they had, just because, I don't know. Again, I already have good models to use for newsletters that are working, and why not just use that? So literally the layout here, the various piece parts that you see are more or less exactly what these other newsletters, how they sort of do it. I came up with this clever little title of Off the Record. Russell Brunson calls his behind the scenes marketing secrets letter. So I'm the off the record PhD secrets letter. Yeah. And some random graphic that I got off Canva as well. And then nice little links here for members area online. Of course, just a bunch of dummy titles for potential articles. But yeah, I kind of like this overall. Thought it was pretty neat. So if I continue to think I want to do a newsletter, then maybe I'll do this. I was thinking PhD Secrets. I mean, maybe I just make a newsletter of me just telling random stories of being a PhD. But then number one is be like, who would buy that? Because that's just like pure entertainment. It's not necessarily me educating anybody on anything, but just providing entertainment. And I don't really look at it as a newsletter as being just an entertainment factor, or at least I wouldn't buy a newsletter for that alone. And then it's like, what more would I offer besides a newsletter? Because I'm not going to coach somebody, obviously, just to tell them about my life or my career, right? So I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to cut this video off for today. So that's where I'm at as of now, in a constant state of figuring out what the hell I really should be doing with my life and what I want to be when I grow up. So that's all for today. I'll see you next time. Peace.